Yeah, guys, welcome to this episode with, of course, our own Dr. Adler. Today, we're talking about something scary, something urgent, something that could quietly damage your brain in just 3 days. If you're over 60, listen closely because one small food mistake could be messing with your memory right now. And what makes it worse? Most people don't even realize they're doing it.
That's exactly right. This is not one of those someday maybe problems. This is real. It's happening fast. I've seen it over and over again. People just like you eating two foods together, everyday foods, and suddenly they can't remember simple things like where they parked, what they were just talking about, or even their own grandchild's birthday. And they wonder, why is this happening? Well, we're going to talk about one of the biggest brain mistakes today.
Okay, Doc, don't hold back. What's the first combo we need to avoid after 60?
The first one is red meat and refined sugar. That's the combo that quietly attacks your brain, especially your memory center. And it doesn't take long. In just 3 days, this combo can start hurting the part of your brain called the hippocampus. That's your memory machine. If that shuts down, everything else starts falling apart.
Wait, are we talking about like burgers and soda?
Exactly. A burger with a sugary soda or steak with a sweet tea, even breakfast sausage with syrup. Those kinds of combos are everywhere. But when you put red meat and refined sugar together in one meal, you're hitting your brain with a double punch.
All right, break it down for us. What's so bad about red meat?
So red meat, especially processed stuff like bacon, sausage, or deli meats, has something called saturated fat and these nasty little things called AGEs. That stands for advanced glycation end products. They cause inflammation. And inflammation in the brain is like a slow-burning fire. It makes your brain age faster. It messes with memory. It even raises your risk for dementia.
And sugar?
Sugar is even sneakier. The kind we're talking about here, refined sugar, comes from things like soda, desserts, syrups, and sweetened drinks. One study in 2023 found that people who ate the most sugar had double the risk of getting dementia compared to people who ate the least. That's not a small difference. That's a disaster for your brain.
So, we've got red meat lighting the fire and sugar pouring gasoline on it?
That's the perfect way to say it. Red meat causes inflammation and stress. Sugar then spikes your insulin. Your brain can't handle all that chaos, especially at age 60 or older. The cells in your brain start to resist insulin, and that's a big red flag. Insulin resistance in the brain is a key sign of Alzheimer's disease.
Whoa, you said this can all start happening in 3 days?
Yes, a diet high in both saturated fat and sugar has been shown to damage hippocampal function. Again, that's the memory center of your brain, in just 3 to 5 days. Imagine that. Just one long weekend of burgers, hot dogs, and soda, and your brain starts slipping.
So what happens to people? Like, what do they start to feel?
Well, they get forgetful. They might walk into a room and not remember why. They can't recall names or appointments. They feel foggy. Some get more anxious or sad and can't figure out why. And over time, it gets worse. A study from Harvard that looked at over 130,000 people found that those who ate more red meat, especially processed, had a 13% higher risk of dementia. That risk went even higher when refined sugar was part of the diet too.
This is scary stuff. But what about the people who say, come on, I've eaten burgers all my life, I'm fine?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And sure, when you're younger, your brain has more strength. But after 60, things change. The brain becomes more sensitive. They can't handle damage the way it used to. And it's not just about eating a burger once in a while. It's about the pattern. If someone eats red meat and sugary foods together even 3 or 4 times a week, it adds up fast.
Okay, but how does sugar actually mess with your brain?
Great question. First, sugar spikes your blood sugar. That alone can slow down how fast your brain works. One high sugar hit can make it harder to focus, harder to remember, and harder to think clearly. Second, sugar triggers something like an addiction in the brain. Studies have shown that sugar lights up the same brain areas as drugs like cocaine. That's why people crave more and more.
Are you serious? Sugar's more addictive than cocaine?
In some animal studies, yes. Rats picked sugar over cocaine, even the ones that were already addicted to cocaine. That tells you how powerful sugar is. And when that addiction grows, people start eating more sugar more often, and their brain just can't keep up. It's like feeding your brain poison in small, sweet bites.
Wow. So this combo is like the silent brain killer?
Exactly. It doesn't hurt right away. You won't feel sick. But day by day, it chips away at your memory, your focus, your emotions. One 2016 study found that animals fed a high-sugar diet showed clear signs of brain inflammation in their memory center. Another study in 2017 showed that people who cut sugar and followed a low sugar, low GI diet actually reversed some of the damage. So the brain can recover, but only if we stop the damage first.
Okay, Doc. If someone's listening right now, and they're over 60, and they just had a burger and a Coke for lunch, what should they do?
First, don't panic, but second, take action. Start cutting back. Swap the soda for sparkling water or unsweetened tea. Skip the processed meats when you can. Add more fresh veggies, nuts, or legumes to your meals. One study found that replacing even one serving of processed red meat with beans or nuts lowered the risk of dementia by 19%. That's a big deal.
So the brain wants to heal?
Yes, the brain is amazing, but it needs the right food. Not just less junk, but more nutrients. Omega-3 fats, turmeric, leafy greens, those things protect your brain. But step one is removing what's hurting it. And this red meat plus sugar combo, that's one of the worst.
All right, you heard the doc. If you're over 60, this is not the time to play games with your memory. That bacon sandwich and soda may taste good today, but 3 days later, your brain might already be paying the price.
Your brain is the most powerful part of you, but it's also fragile. If you treat it right, it can stay sharp for years. If you don't, well, memory loss doesn't knock. It just walks right in.
And that brings us to our next combo mistake, one that's hiding right in your pantry. I'm talking about white bread and margarine. Now, I know what some folks are thinking. Come on, it's just toast. But Doc, it's more than that, right?
Absolutely. This combo is one of the sneakiest threats to brain health. White bread by itself might seem harmless, but when you break it down, it turns into glucose really fast. That spikes your blood sugar sky high. And when that happens over and over again, your brain starts to struggle, especially with memory.
So just the bread is bad?
Not just the bread. It's the pairing with margarine that makes it worse. Margarine often contains trans fats. These are man-made fats added to give that creamy texture. But here's the problem. Trans fats don't just raise bad cholesterol. They've been directly linked to brain shrinkage and memory loss.
Wait, brain shrinkage?
Yes, really. A 2020 review in the journal Nutrients showed that eating foods high in trans fats and high glycemic carbs, like this white bread and margarine combo, can significantly hurt memory in seniors. It's like setting up a storm inside your brain. We call it neuroinflammation. That means your brain gets inflamed, the same way a cut gets swollen. But in this case, it affects how brain cells talk to each other.
That's wild. So, could just toasting in the morning do this?
Exactly. It seems small, but if you're doing it every day, your brain takes the hit. People start forgetting simple words. They struggle with focus. They feel cloudy and tired. And they don't connect it to food, but it is food. When your brain's fuel is toxic, your memory can't run right.
Wow. So what should people do instead?
Swap that white bread for a whole grain version. And ditch the margarine. Go with something natural, like a bit of avocado or even a small amount of olive oil. You want to feed your brain fats that heal, not harm.
Now, let's talk about another combo that makes me nervous, processed cheese and cold cuts. Doc, I know folks love their ham and cheese sandwiches, but tell us what that's really doing up there in the brain.
This one's a double whammy, too. First off, both processed cheese and deli meats like ham or salami are packed with sodium. Not just a little, a lot. And when you eat too much salt, it messes with your blood pressure. That means less oxygen and blood flow going to the brain. That's how vascular dementia starts.
So, salt actually blocks the brain's fuel?
Exactly. Your brain needs a healthy flow of oxygen and nutrients, but a high sodium diet stiffens the blood vessels. That makes it harder for blood to move around, especially to small areas like the hippocampus, the memory center we keep talking about. Over time, those cells can die off, and then memory loss begins.
And the cheese makes it worse?
Yes, processed cheese isn't real cheese. It's a mix of milk solids, preservatives, and sometimes, you guessed it, trans fats, just like margarine. And remember, trans fats were found in studies to make word recall worse in adults under 45. So imagine what it's doing to someone over 60.
Okay, and what about the meats? I heard something about nitrates.
Right, cold cuts like ham, turkey slices, and salami are full of nitrates and nitrites. These are used to preserve color and flavor, but inside your body, nitrates can form something called nitrosamines. These are chemicals that damage blood vessels and are linked to cancer, and yes, brain damage too. That's why the World Health Organization now classifies processed meats as carcinogenic.
Hold up. The WHO says these meats are cancer-causing?
That's correct. And when we look at the brain, research shows these same chemicals reduce oxygen flow and increase the risk of cognitive decline. In simple words, the more you eat them, the faster your memory fades.
So that turkey sandwich with a slice of cheese on white bread, that's like 3 strikes at once?
Bingo! You've got refined carbs, trans fats, and processed meats all in one bite. That's like throwing a memory bomb at your brain. It might feel harmless in the moment, but give it weeks, months, years, and the damage builds.
That's scary. So, how does someone fix this?
First, read your labels. If you see words like hydrogenated oil, processed cheese product, or nitrate cured meat, skip it. Instead of cold cuts, go for fresh grilled chicken or tuna. Use real cheese in moderation, like mozzarella or cheddar from a block, not the plastic-looking slices. And replace white bread with something whole grain and fiber-rich. Your brain loves fiber. It helps reduce inflammation.
So, even these small swaps make a big difference?
Absolutely. Just cutting down on sodium and trans fats can improve brain blood flow. That means more oxygen, better memory, and sharper thinking, even after 60. Your brain is always trying to heal. You just have to stop feeding it the stuff that hurts it.
You know, this really hits home. A lot of people listening probably had a grilled cheese and deli sandwich this week without thinking twice. But now we know, it's not just about the heart. It's about the head.
Exactly. Every bite is either helping your brain or hurting it. When we're younger, we can bounce back. But after 60, every little thing counts. If we want to stay sharp, keep our memories, and stay independent, this is the place to start. What we eat is what we think.
There it is. The truth, plain and simple. Your brain isn't just affected by age. It's affected by your plate. White bread and margarine processed cheese and cold cuts, they may be comfort food, but they bring brain fog, not comfort. So next time you go to the fridge, think twice.
Because your brain is worth protecting. And it starts with one choice, one meal, one swap at a time.
And now, Doc, we've got one more last combo that people love, but the brain absolutely hates. Let's talk about it. French fries and a milkshake. That classic fast food pair. It's salty, it's sweet, it's hot, it's cold, and it's a total brain buster. What's going on with this combo?
Oh man, this one is tough because people love it. Fries and milkshakes are one of the most common treats out there. But here's the truth. When you eat these two together, it's like pouring poison straight into your brain's engine. It doesn't hurt right away, but inside, big trouble is starting time.
All right, let's break it down. Let's start with the fries. What's happening there?
French fries are deep fried in oil, and not the good kind. When those oils are heated at super high temperatures, they create something called oxidized fats. And inside those golden fries, acrylamides. That's a chemical that forms when starchy foods like potatoes are fried. Acrylamides have been linked to nerve damage, inflammation, and even brain aging.
Wait, so fries have a chemical that messes with your brain?
Yes, and it's not just one thing, it's a mix. Fried foods raise inflammatory markers in the body, things like CRP, which stands for C-reactive protein. When CRP goes up, brain fog kicks in. Memory gets fuzzy. You can't focus. And long-term, that's when dementia risk rises.
Okay, now let's add the milkshake. Seems harmless, right? Just a sweet treat?
Unfortunately, it's not harmless at all. A typical milkshake is loaded with sugar and saturated dairy fats. That's a 1-2 punch your brain does not need. Sugar by itself spikes insulin, messes with your blood sugar levels, and sets off an addictive loop in your brain. And then the saturated fat, that slows blood flow and worsens inflammation.
So, the fries bring the fire, and the milkshake dumps sugar on it?
That's a perfect picture. In fact, a 2016 study in Frontiers in Neuroscience showed that a high-fat, high-sugar meal can hurt memory in just 72 hours. That's 3 days. It's not long. And older adults, especially those over 60, are most at risk. Their brains don't bounce back like a 20-year-old's.
3 days? That fast?
Yep. Think about it. Someone goes out for fast food on Friday night. Fries, milkshake, maybe a burger. By Monday, they're feeling off. Can't think clearly, can't find the right words, mood's down, and they say, must just be stress. But it's not stress. It's inflammation. It's what they just ate.
Doc, that's scary. And the worst part, this combo feels fun, even comforting. But it's doing damage behind the scenes.
Exactly. That's why it's dangerous. People don't see the damage right away, but inside, the blood vessels feeding the brain are under attack. Inflammation starts to block oxygen, and when the brain doesn't get oxygen, memory fails, focus slips, Decision-making gets harder. Even emotions get cloudy.
So, fries plus milkshake is like a neurotoxic cocktail, huh?
That's exactly what I'd call it. You've got acrylamides, oxidized fats, sugar spikes, and dairy fat all coming together, and they light up every danger signal we know about when it comes to brain health.
Let's talk real life. Someone's listening right now thinking, but I only have fries and a shake once a week. Is that okay?
Listen, once a year, maybe. Once a week, that adds up fast. Over time, the brain doesn't forget. It remembers every sugar spike, every inflammatory hit, every blocked blood vessel. One study even found that people who regularly eat fried and processed foods score lower on thinking tests, and they don't even know it's food causing it.
So what should we reach for instead?
Swap the fries for roasted sweet potato wedges or air-fried veggies. Trade the milkshake for a smoothie with fresh fruit, unsweetened almond milk, and maybe a scoop of Greek yogurt. It'll still taste great, but it won't hurt your brain.
Okay, final word on this combo.
If you care about your brain, your memory, your focus, your future, this is the combo to skip. Fries and milkshakes may feel like a treat, but for your brain, they're trouble. And when you're over 60, your brain can't afford that kind of attack anymore.
And that's why we do this show. Not to scare you, but to save you. Because food isn't just fuel. It's medicine or it's poison. The choice is yours. If you learned something today, go ahead and like this episode, subscribe so you never miss the truth about your health, and drop a comment below. What food combo shocked you the most? We'd love to hear from you.